And away we go. Episode 1378 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Friday, July 31st, 2026. It is the final day of the month. It is the day after the second day of practice at 2026 Washington Commanders training camp. We actually are just 2 weeks from the first of 3 games for Washington in the NFL's 2026 preseason. Yeah, we're just 2 weeks away from Washington's 2026 preseason opener. Washington at the Miami Dolphins on Friday night, August 14th at 7. Will Washington have signed unrestricted free agent receiver Stefon Diggs by then? Heck, will Washington have signed Diggs by the end of Friday? The drumbeat for our team to sign Diggs is growing louder off some recent comments by Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and off Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic on Thursday morning on X, putting up a post in which she said, quote, "My assessment of the first 2 days of Commanders camp," end quote, and then beneath what she wrote was a gif of Stefon Diggs on a sideline saying, quote, "I'm him," end quote. Stefon Diggs, one of the best receivers in the NFL over the last 15 years. Stefon Diggs, a local, went to Our Lady of Good Counsel High School in Olney, Maryland, and then went to the University of Maryland. Stefon Diggs coming off a terrific season for the New England Patriots. He has had / does have his off-the-field issues, but I am open to Washington signing Diggs if it wants him. There's a lot to like, and the drumbeat for him is growing louder. You wonder how much of what Keim and Javala are saying is based on what they have been told. And oh, by the way, unrestricted free agent receiver Deebo Samuel Sr., who of course spent last season with Washington, he now is off the market. Reports late night on Thursday night that he has agreed to sign with the San Francisco 49ers. Samuel going back to the team from which he came in terms of the team that traded him to Washington. Hello and welcome to this Friday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Happy Friday. Coming up on the show, lots for you from 2026 Washington Commanders training camp. Next segment, injury news and updates from camp and conversation about the defense being ahead of the offense, the usage of GoPro cameras on quarterbacks, the work ethic of quarterback Jayden Daniels, and more off comments from head coach Dan Quinn and receiver Terry McLaurin. The following segment, discussion of the dynamic between offensive coordinator David Blough, quarterback Jayden Daniels, and receiver Terry McLaurin, the work that McLaurin is doing with undrafted rookie receiver Jaden Bradley, what Washington has in another rookie receiver in Antonio Williams, and the impressive skill set of tight end Chig Okonkwo, off comments from McLaurin, Dan Quinn, and general manager Adam Peters. The McLaurin comments throughout these segments are really good. I always enjoy listening to what McLaurin has to say. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Nationals analysis of their 5-4 loss at the Atlanta Braves on Thursday night in a game in which the Nats blew a 3-0 fourth-inning lead, and I'll examine reports regarding the Nats pursuing a contract extension with starting pitcher Foster Griffin. Will he be traded in the lead-up to the 2026 MLB trade deadline, which is this Monday, August 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern? Before we get to feedback, really bad news from the Washington Wizards. They on Thursday afternoon announced that Jamir Watkins, quote, underwent a successful reconstruction to repair a torn ACL in his left knee, end quote. The injury was sustained during the team's play in NBA Summer League 2026 in Las Vegas. Really unfortunate news. The Wizards on July 1st announced having re-signed Watkins as a restricted free agent to a 2-way contract. They had declined a team option for the 2026-2027 season for Watkins, but had tendered him a qualifying offer, making him a restricted free agent. The Wizards took him in the second round of the 2025 NBA draft out of Florida State. Watkins played college basketball for 5 seasons, played for VCU for the 2020, 2021, and 2022-2023 seasons, played for FSU for the 2023, 2024, and 2024-2025 seasons, missed all of the 2021-2022 season due to a torn right ACL that he suffered in September 2021. Showed major defensive promise this past season, but he may well be out for all of the upcoming season. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. You could reach me via writing a review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can write about whatever you want, and I'll read what you write if you give the podcast a 5-star rating. From Dr. CCB on Washington Commanders ownership, writes the doctor. Good morning, Galdi. It's been a minute since I last wrote. JBAB keeps me extremely busy. I hope all is well with you. I'm so glad this Ayuk saga seems to be slowing down a bit. There is something seriously wrong with that dude. Anyway, I was talking with my brother this past weekend about Josh Harris and his leadership team. I told him it was the Harris Ownership Group, and that got us to thinking, HOG. Harris Ownership Group, HOG, HOG. Do you think that that is an intentional nod to the legendary Hogs from the Skins era, or is this just a coincidence? Maybe I missed a previous discussion about this, but I was curious to hear your thoughts. What say you, my friend? As always, keep up the great work. I really enjoy listening to your podcast and appreciate the insight you bring to all DC sports fans. TTYL, Dr. CCB. Well, thank you very much for that, Dr. CCB. The moniker Harris Ownership Group, HOG, as far as I can tell, is a fan thing, not a team thing or a Josh Harris Group thing. I've never seen or heard the team or the group refer to the group as the Harris Ownership Group or HOG. I do think that this is just a nice coincidence that fans have picked up on, that we can call the ownership group the Harris Ownership Group, or HOG. 2026 Washington Commanders training camp is underway. Football season is here. If you would like to grow your business or practice, consider advertising on this podcast. We're offering great deals in honor of the football season. Podcast advertising is very affordable and works. Put the power of the pod to work for you. Get your message out there to thousands of successful people in the Washington, D.C. area. Grow your business or practice. We'd love to have you on board. Email us to see what we can do for you. The email address is the Al Galdi Podcast at yahoo.com. Well, 2026 Washington Commanders training camp now includes two more players dealing with injury. Head coach Dan Quinn did a pre-practice press conference on Thursday morning. He, during the presser, revealed that center Nick Allegretti is dealing with a calf strain, and that receiver Treylon Burks is dealing with foot soreness. Allegretti, during Wednesday morning's practice, walked off the practice field while being accompanied by a member of the team staff. Now we know why. Now, neither injury is considered long-term, but of course, neither injury is good. Allegretti is the favorite to be the team's starting center, and Burks is an intriguing member of a receiving corps begging for guys to emerge, but Burks has had a very hard time staying healthy. Washington this past March 12th announced having re-signed Burks as an unrestricted free agent. He initially signed with the team via it signing him as an unrestricted free agent to the practice squad this past October 17th. He, for Washington, in the 2025 regular season, played in 8 games, totaling 10 receptions for 130 yards and a touchdown on 22 targets. He was good enough to be taken by the Tennessee Titans with the number 18 overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft out of the University of Arkansas, but Burks was a bust for the Titans. He, over 3 regular seasons with the Titans, played in just 27 of a possible 51 games and totaled just 53 receptions and just 1 receiving touchdown. The Titans last October 7th announced having released Burks from the reserve/injured list off him having suffered a fractured collarbone during training camp, and now here he is in this Washington training camp dealing with foot soreness, so hopefully he's back soon. So here's where we stand with injured Washington players. The team has 4 players on the active/physically unable to perform list. Edge defenders Dorrance Armstrong and Dietrich Wise Jr., cornerback Trey Amos, and linebacker Kane Madrano. The team has 1 player on the active/non-football injury list, punter Tressway, and the team has center Nick Allegretti and receiver Treylon Burks on the active roster, but each dealing with an ailment. Regarding Tressway, so he's dealing with a pectoral muscle injury. That was revealed by general manager Adam Peters during his joint press conference with head coach Dan Quinn this past Tuesday evening. That injury, not believed to be serious, but Washington on Wednesday afternoon did announce having put Way on the active/non-football injury list. A player gets put on that list when he has suffered an injury in a non-team activity. We on Thursday morning had this back and forth between Commanders insider J.P. Finley of NBC4 Washington and Dan Quinn.
Morning, Dan. Can we just get a little clarification on the roster move putting Tress on the NFI, please?
Yes. So Tress's injury, hope in a short-term space, but it happened prior to training camp, and so that's the designations between NFIs and PUPs to go. But he's doing well, and we're expecting him to make great progress over the next days ahead.
So hopefully Tressway is good to go soon. Washington early Wednesday morning announced having signed unrestricted free agent punter Matt Hawk. A lot of red zone work for Washington over the first 2 days of practice at training camp. Here was Dan Quinn during the opening statement of his pre-practice press conference on Thursday morning, and then you'll hear an exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
Some things I liked from yesterday as we got going onto the first day. The red zone work right off the bat, I liked how that felt right off the space to get into a competition. We did a 2-point play competition, came back, hit some more end of the game or end of the half moments. I thought the conditioning was key for these guys coming in to say, when we left, to say we're not playing our way into shape. It has to be already there to keep working your skills hard. So today's a big red zone day. In practice, you're going to see almost the entirety of the day there. Decision making happens quicker, decisiveness to go, the throws are quicker, the matches are quicker, and so I'll look forward to doing that, and that'll be the big emphasis yesterday and today. And then as we get into next week, there'll be days that we'll be down in the red zone, other days not. So glad to get it rocking with you guys today.
With some of the early stuff, you hear from offensive guys maybe more that the defense tends to be a little bit further ahead at this point in camp. So if that's the case, how do you then measure both sides of the ball knowing that?
Yeah, it's definitely like some KPIs for practice that we're trying to find every day. And so some of it might just be as small as like, ball security to speeds that we're trying to work to the execution of plays. Sometimes, John, it might even go down to, against zone, what's completion versus man and how are things going into that space, knowing that like in zone defense, there's going to be more completions in front, but so offensively, those should generally be higher on those kind of days. So it goes back and forth for sure for about, a good 10 days or so, where this can be an emphasis, that could be an emphasis, but timing over and over, that's what we're going through. And so new set of plays, new installs, but it definitely goes back and forth. That's why I like kind of having the competitions good, where you can keep score, see where you're at.
And as was indicated by John Keim in that question that we just heard, the defense has been ahead of the offense over the first 2 days of this training camp. Personally, I put zero stock into that. A, we're talking about the first 2 days of training camp while still a month and a half away from the start of the regular season. B, what is usually the case is that the defense is ahead of the offense early in camp. C, Washington's practices at this training camp so far have been non-padded practices. And D, you always got to be careful with one unit being ahead of another unit in a training camp because you never know to what extent the perceived lesser unit is working on things and experimenting with things and being willing to fail for the purpose of finding out what works and what does not. All of that said, we, during receiver Terry McLaurin's post-practice press conference on Thursday morning, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and McLaurin.
Just my view from afar, tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like sometimes in camp that defense can come ahead early in camp. At what point in camp do you feel like you can get a really good assessment of where the offense is at?
They had a really good day. I'm not afraid to say that, but that's camp. There's going to be back and forth. There's also series of camps. We're building things up. We're in the red zone. It's a little tighter, things like that. But they're making plays out there, and for us, it's about not recreating the same mistakes. So, my preaching to the receivers is just making the tough plays. Everything's not going to be perfect. You're not going to always be the most open, or sometimes you are going to be the most open, and you just got to make the plays when they come your way. And that's just part of camp. When pads come on, that's a different aspect of camp. You know what I mean? So we're just trying to take this day by day. DQ's done a good job of just explaining what's expected of these first few days. But the point of the matter is you want to come out here and win the day. You know what I mean? I don't think we did that today. But this is day 2. Tomorrow is a completely new day, and that's why we go in there and watch film and discuss the things that we could get better at so we can come out and have a better day. But I've always been a big believer of, receivers to a certain degree kind of drive the practice, in the sense that when receivers are making plays, it brings just a certain energy to the offense, makes the quarterbacks feel a little bit more comfortable because they don't feel like they have to be perfect. And then there's times where they make up for our mistakes. So it's a collective effort. But I'm not worried about where we're at right now. It's just day 2. It's good to have guys out there flying around. The juice is what I'm super excited about. The competitiveness. We shake up with guys after practice. I didn't really want to shake up with nobody because we got beat. I just kind of that's how I am. But at the end of the day, we're still brothers, you know what I mean? And, we're going back and forth, but we still have Commanders across our chest. So that's the main thing. But that's what I like. The competitive juices are here early.
Good stuff there from Terry McLaurin. And note, he did say, quote, when pads come on, that's a different aspect of camp, end quote. So true. But McLaurin did make it clear that the defense on Thursday morning was better than the offense. We do continue to see Washington quarterbacks wearing GoPro cameras. So we saw this during practices this past offseason, and then we're seeing this during training camp. Dan Quinn, during his pre-OTA practice press conference on June 9th, revealed that the idea to have quarterbacks wearing GoPro cameras during OTAs came from offensive coordinator David Blough. So a forward-thinking idea from Blough. Other NFL teams have used GoPro cameras for quarterbacks in practices, so it's not like Blough is the first person with this idea, but good to see Washington implement this. Quinn, during that presser, also said that he was big on the footage from the GoPro cameras being valuable both in terms of video and audio. We on Thursday morning had this exchange between John Keim and Dan Quinn.
And then going back to the GoPro stuff, why did you guys decide to do that this year?
Just honestly, it came through the spring to say, is there an advantage we can find doing it? And so we knew some other clubs had tried it, and so we thought this would be something to explore and see where it goes. And we liked it. So the individual work, it was not quite enough. And way back in the off season, we tried even like some meta glasses to see what that would look like to turn them on and off. So I think if you want to just dig in and try and say, what part of practice is it good? Why wouldn't we use it? And then one of the hidden benefits we found was the communication piece with it. And that was like one of those things, like an unintended good consequence came from that. And so I wouldn't say it's not like as the top of the list in terms of where we do the film, but we try to edit those into the same practice cuts. So this view, the second view, the third view, and then just for the QBs, they can add that part.
Yeah, the more information, the more data points, the better, especially for the QB1, Jayden Daniels. So we know about his great work ethic, some insight on that. We on Thursday morning had this back and forth between columnist Barry Zverluga of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
With Jayden, logistically, like after practice, does he go back and watch each play and evaluate? Is it that detailed and self-critical? How does that
and that's true for the entire group. Yeah, and so you want to, what was the intent of the play? Did we make the right check? Did we go to the right location? And so that could be at any of the number of spots. So, yeah, you want to evaluate what specific things you want to nail for tomorrow. So I loved yesterday our quarterbacks being outside the pocket remaining passers, knowing that that's one of our emphasis to have explosive plays down the field. So we were intentional about that when we're getting outside, just, scramble drills and down the field throws. So that would have been one small example from the quarterback room of something we were trying to emphasize and saw it come to life day one.
And you are sometimes right in the middle of the play if it's a skeleton situation. What do you get out of being, the defense is on one sideline, the offense is on the other sideline. You're the head dude, kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, sometimes I want to see the eyes of the defense if it's zone, to see where they're looking. So if they have, vision of the quarterback, I want to make sure I am seeing where their eyes are. From another standpoint, sometimes I want to see it from the offensive perspective to say where I'm the center, I'm the quarterback, I'm seeing spacing, I'm seeing timing. And that's really where I can also see the accuracy, balls thrown on the right side in a zone to extend plays. So just small cues that I'm trying to find that I may have not seen from a sideline perspective.
All right. Well, a big last week for Washington Commanders managing partner Josh Harris with what happened with one of his other teams, the Philadelphia 76ers, right? They this past Monday morning officially announced the signing of a certain unrestricted free agent, LeBron James. Josh Harris is managing partner of the Washington Commanders, is a managing partner of the Philadelphia 76ers, and is a managing partner of the New Jersey Devils. Now, I enjoyed what Wale put out on X, hip-hop artist and loyal Washington, D.C. sports fan Wale. He last Friday afternoon, July 24th, in a post on X, quote, "Congrats, James family, and my brother Rich Paul. Wizards still coming. Let's get it." End quote. Rich Paul, as many of you know, is LeBron James's agent. Wale, as many of you know, a product of Quince Orchard High School in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And now to wrap up the longest transition to an ad ever. Clothing from Quince is the best. You see that tie-in? Wale went to Quince Orchard High School, and now I want to tell you about Quince, which is awesome. Go to quince.com/Goldie for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Goldie. Quince focuses on well-made essentials that naturally become those everyday staples that you actually live in all season long, like the shorts that I got from Quince. Sand dune-colored cotton chino drawstring shorts. They look and feel great. Instantly went to the front of the Goldie shorts rotation. Clothes from Quince are the summer upgrade that your rotation needs. Quince's 100% European linen pants and shirts are breathable and are easy to throw on, starting at just $34. Quince's tees are soft enough to live in all day, and the lightweight cotton sweaters are exactly what you want when summer nights cool down. And everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're paying for exceptional quality, not brand markup. Make your summer wardrobe easier. Go to quince.com/Goldie for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Goldie. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Goldie. Life insurance. You and your family hopefully never need it, but not having it can make a tragic situation even worse. We have a family friend who lost her husband to cancer. Him not having life insurance made the ensuing years even more difficult. Well, Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You'll just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/AlGaldi. That's ETHOS.com/AlGaldi. Ethos.com/AlGaldi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. Trustpilot rating as of June 1st, 2025.
Having a daily routine is crucial. For me, daily walks with my dog are a non-negotiable part of my wellness routine to get some fresh air and clear my mind. And after those walks, it's easy to grab my favorite all-in-one nutrition shake and take it wherever I'm off to next with Kachava's new travel packs. One easy-to-use packet provides complete nutrition ready for life on the go with protein, fiber, vitamins and minerals, greens, probiotics, omegas, electrolytes, and more. Kachava has 8 great flavors, including chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, strawberry, coffee, and my favorite, backed by popular demand, chocolate mint. Take your daily ritual with you. Go to Kachava.com and use code SPORTS for 15% off your first order. That's Kachava, spelled Kachava.com, and code SPORTS.
More now on 2026 Washington Commanders training camp off the team practicing on Thursday morning. Washington's WR1, Terry McLaurin. He did a post-practice press conference on Thursday morning as he enters his 8th NFL season. The Washington Redskins took McLaurin in the 3rd round of the 2019 NFL Draft out of Ohio State. He's entering his age 31 season. And I was thinking about this. So this coming season will mark the 3rd consecutive season of Washington having Jayden Daniels as QB1 and Terry McLaurin as WR1. This is the first time that Washington has had the same QB1 and same WR1 in each of at least 3 consecutive seasons since the team had Jason Campbell as QB1 and Santana Moss as WR1 from November 2006 through the 2009 season. A long time ago. Now, Washington, of course, has a new offensive coordinator in David Blough. We on Thursday morning had this exchange with Terry McLaurin, and then we'll hear a follow-up exchange between columnist David Aldridge of The Athletic and McLaurin.
Can you speak about your conversations with Jayden and about learning the new offense and how you can help as a receiver, him learning the playbook and vice versa?
Yeah, there you go. I just think our communication's just grown just as quarterback and receiver. You know what I mean? Third year playing with one another, having a full off season together to get some really good work in. I just love to see the way he's grown as a player, as a leader. And we just communicate on and off the field a whole lot. You know what I mean? Whether it's sending clips, whether it's talking to Blough about what we like. As long as we're on the same page, we've had plays like that over the last few years where when you are on the same page with the quarterback, you can make any play right. And I think that was the biggest thing for us, is getting these reps in and being on the same page. Now, as we start incorporating this new offense, we're both just trying to learn our assignment so we take care of our job first, and then we talk about the little nuances. Like we had a play yesterday where, my split being a little too tight, maybe it may throw off his timing just a little bit. So we completed the play. That's great. But, to get it a catch and run versus a catch and tackle, that could be the difference in plussing out the split just a little bit more. So little details like that, being able to work on that so early on top of the work we've put in over the last few years is going to help us, have a good season together.
Terry, playing off it a little bit, when you're a vet learning a new system,
yeah.
How much do you pay attention to the verbiage, and how much do you just pay attention to getting the concepts down?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think I've been in quite a few offenses, and the great thing about it is you get to learn football from a broad's eye view. And I think just coming out of college, I was really taught to learn offense conceptually, because not only does that help you as a receiver to be able to move around and be versatile, the more you can do. Like, you don't want to be a receiver, I just play X, I just play Z, I just play slot. That just pigeonholes yourself. So your ability to be able to learn things conceptually allows you to understand the spacing. Like if we're running a corner flat read and I'm a little too flat, and that corner could possibly play, if he's playing cover 2, he could play me and Chig. You know what I mean? But if I don't know what he has, because I'm not learning things conceptually, then I don't know that detail, and I can mess up the whole play, not only for myself, but for him. So I think learning conceptually is extremely important, and I think Bobby does a great job of just expressing that to us in the room. But I encourage all the guys to try to learn all the positions. And with this offense specifically, I think Blough's just done a great job of making things marry together. So there's kind of little tidbits in the play calling that'll kind of remind you of what you may have. So if you could learn not only conceptually, okay, this is what we're trying to get done, but then you're hearing the play call, getting used to hearing the plays in the huddle, and it reminds you of what you studied the night before, then you're going to have success. And then it's about just detailing, make sure you're on your splits, your depths are correct, and then making the play. So that's why we're out here and doing that. But, Blough's done a really good job, because sometimes you could get so many words where it's just like, it could be a lot, but I think he's done a really good job of just making it easy for us to digest, and now it's on us to go execute it.
Tremendous detail from Terry McLaurin. We heard him joke about having been in quite a few offenses. That is true. Terry McLaurin with Washington has had 5 offensive coordinators. Kevin O'Connell for the 2019 season, Scott Turner for the 2020 through 2022 seasons, Eric Bieniemy for the 2023 season, Cliff Kingsbury for the 2024 and 2025 seasons, and David Blough for the 2026 season, and hopefully beyond. Now, we heard Terry McLaurin reference a play from Wednesday morning's practice during which McLaurin was guilty of his split being a bit too tight, throwing off the timing for Jayden Daniels and how that can be the difference between a catch and tackle versus a catch and run. The final back and forth of the Terry McLaurin post-practice press conference on Thursday morning was this between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and McLaurin.
Can I ask one question?
Sure, go ahead.
Just going back to when you were talking about the split being slightly off. And that
Yeah.
Do you know that immediately as a receiver? Or is that you go back and watch film and you can see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing about it is, like, me and Jayden talk a lot after the reps happen about, not only from when the twos are going, but when him and I are going. And he was like, I felt like on that route, like, we're trying to catch that on the run. I was a little bit, like, having to throttle. You're kind of, like, moving slightly with the ball. And so we want to hit that play on the run. So we were trying to figure out, okay, maybe his eyes were a little late, or maybe I didn't get all my steps. He thought I maybe didn't get all my steps, which is also important, getting a good stride length so it times up. But I had this recollection. I was like, because it's like a nasty split, so you're kind of more condensed. Well, a nasty split could kind of be a variation where you're maybe 4 yards away from the tackle, or you could be closer to 2 yards inside the numbers. Those 2 yards could make a difference. And I think that was the difference, because not only the defense was running a type of defense where I could get chucked. So if I'm too close to that guy on the inline of scrimmage, he could chuck me off my route, and that can kind of mess up the time as well. But me being in a more -2, -3 split even would not only give me space to move, but will time up better because I have a wider angle of departure. And then when I'm coming in on the break, like the timing will be more on the run. We want to hit things on the run. And with Jayden's timing and our ability to run after catch, like those will be huge plays. And those are the difference between catching tackles and catch and runs. So we want catch and runs.
Absolutely. We so far at this training camp are hearing YAC, yards after catch, come up a good bit, and for good reason. Washington for the 2025 regular season was number 29 out of 32 NFL teams in yards after catch per Sport Radar, just 1,429. More on this dynamic of David Blough, Jayden Daniels, and Terry McLaurin. We on Thursday morning had this exchange between WTOP Sports Director George Wallace and Terry McLaurin.
Talking about communication with you, Jayden and Blough. How important is that he's open to that kind of communication when you're learning a new offense? You guys go to him what you like, what you don't like?
Yeah, I think it's really huge. You know, I think in football, obviously from coaches to players, we respect the coach's scheme and their understanding of the game of football and the film, the time that they put in. But also there's a part of us being on the field as players and the things that we're seeing in real time that I feel like when there's a collaborative effort, it can really make the entire offense or defense better. So the coaches I've been around who are open to those suggestions, who are open to the open communication back and forth, are the ones that not only players tend to enjoy, but the coaches get to get an insight of what's going on in our brains. And I just feel like you grow quicker instead of like, hey, run my system, run these routes. At the end of the day, we're going to do that because we're players, but I think just collaboratively, you know what I mean, I think it's a lot better. So Blough understanding that from being a player and now being a coach, I think that only helps. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, we respect the coaches and we're going to suggest things that's going to help. Like, I'm not being like, hey, run this route because I just, you know, but I'm trying to think of things that could help us all. And I think when you have that type of collaborative effort, it makes everything a lot better.
Yes, it does. Also making things a lot better is that Terry McLaurin appears to be in a very good place. The Terry McLaurin contract extension saga of the spring and summer of 2025 resulted in him missing a ton of time in terms of the offseason program and training camp. This year, much different story. Now, look, it is possible that this coming season will prove to be his final season with Washington. It was last August 26th that Washington announced having signed McLaurin to a contract extension. The extension was a 3-year extension that, per overthecap.com and spottrack.com, included just $44.65 million fully guaranteed at signing. The extension, per the analysis of multiple people, was essentially a 2-year deal that was backloaded to get the average per year to a certain level. And this coming season, conceivably, could be McLaurin's final season with Washington. His salary cap hit for the 2027 season is set to be $34 million per overthecap.com and spottrack.com. Now, that can be renegotiated. I personally am not convinced that this coming season will be McLaurin's final season with Washington, especially if he has a good 2026 season, and I hope like heck that he does. But yes, contractually speaking, it is plausible that this coming season will be McLaurin's final season with Washington. However, Terry McLaurin right now very much appears to be in a good headspace. Yes, he last regular season did play in just 10 of Washington's 17 games due to the twice injured quadriceps. But as we have discussed, he played well when he played last regular season. He had a receiving success rate of 61.7, the best of his NFL career. He had a yards per reception of 15.32, his best over the last 3 regular seasons. He had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 86.5, which is great. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 160 is average, and McLaurin did all of this despite Jayden Daniels playing in just 7 of the 17 games due to getting injured 4 times. Terry McLaurin last season, when he played at a high level. This was McLaurin on Thursday morning on what he's feeling these days, and then we'll hear a follow-up exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and McLaurin.
Yeah, just normalcy, you know what I mean? Just being able to have a full off season, get some work in with the guys was great as well, and have full OTAs and just being out here day one, it just feels like normal. So, business is business, and that was last year, but I've just been really excited to be a part of the whole process this year.
Is there anything, because you missed that time, that did it change you at all? Do you notice a difference to yourself, even the way you work with a lot of the young guys, et cetera? Is there anything you do different because of that experience?
I think since I've been here and got more years under my belt, I've tried to always bring young guys under my wing. So great thing about it is I've been fortunate to have young guys who are curious, and so I'm an open book because I remember being a young guy and being very curious, and I was fortunate to have really good vets. So I just know the importance of passing that information, you know what I mean? Because all of them have a great skill set, otherwise they wouldn't be here. But there's nuances of the position. There's gaining the trust of the quarterbacks. That's extremely important. And it's creating certain habits that allow you to be successful at this level, to create a consistency that allow you to excel and continue to get better and have a long career. So, it's great to have a group of young guys who are super hungry, looking for their opportunity. And anytime that I can help them out, I'm going to do that. And I learned something from them as well, whether that's just getting a mental rep when they're in there, or certain things that they do that I kind of like witnessing as well. So I just think that's a big part of being a leader. When you're part of this entire camp, you kind of get to see things from start to finish, see guys grow, see yourself grow, and help build it from the ground up.
So regarding Terry McLaurin working with young Washington receivers, he seems to have really taken to Jaden Bradley, an undrafted rookie out of UNLV. Although maybe the right way to say this is that Bradley has really taken to McLaurin. We on Thursday morning had this exchange between Nicky Javala and Terry McLaurin.
Going back to the young guys, it seems like you've done a lot of work with Jaden Bradley.
Yeah.
What do you see in him? What kind of intrigues you about his potential?
I think he has a unique skill set where he's a bigger receiver, but he moves very smoothly. His releases are very smooth. He's sudden in his releases. He has really good feet at the top. He kind of has a pro-like feel. For him, it's just going to be about detailing it. Splits, timing. When you're running down the field, keeping your shoulder close so you could track the ball over your shoulder. Red zone, there's not as much space, so you got to hold that defender off so you could give the quarterback more space to throw in that back corner of the end zone. Just little tidbits like that I try to pass along with him, but he's a sponge, man. He's been asking questions since he first got here, and obviously he's undrafted. I haven't really had a guy who's undrafted who's like just followed every single thing that not only I do, but Dayami does. And you see him working out in the offseason. He was out with us in LA, so he's just super hungry. And guys who tend to care that much about their craft tend to have success. So he knows that he has the opportunity to try to earn a spot on this team, and I'm going to do whatever I can to try to help him because he has a really good skill set.
And another undrafted rookie receiver for Washington is Chris Hilton Jr. out of LSU. He played for LSU for 5 seasons, 2021 through 2025. So he did play with Jayden Daniels. So Daniels was LSU's QB1 for the 2022 and 2023 seasons. The number 1 rookie receiver for Washington, of course, is Antonio Williams, who Washington took in the 3rd round of the 2026 NFL Draft out of Clemson. Williams, in his collegiate career, played extensively as both a slot receiver and a wide receiver. We on Thursday morning had this back and forth between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Terry McLaurin.
Terry, what have been your early impressions of rookie Antonio Williams and just his progression since OTAs?
Yeah, I think Antonio, he's a quiet guy, but I think his play speaks for a lot of who he is. He's very smooth and he's twitchy. You know what I mean? When he's running routes, he's very sudden, and you don't quite know when he's breaking until he breaks. And then he has the explosiveness to get out of his cuts, and he has really good hands as well. So he has a good feel for the receiver position, and I think he has a chance to really help us, especially in Blough's offense where guys will be able to move around. He has some good reps in OTAs, but these reps are extremely critical for him, whether he's running with the 1s, 2s, or even getting into preseason. Like this day-to-day repetition is extremely key so he can try to really help us this year. But he's just done everything that we've asked him to do. He's on snack duty, so he better have them snacks this afternoon. but he's a great guy, man. He asks so many great questions, and I think he has a bright future. So just this camp is going to be great for him to get day-to-day reps, building on. I just told him now it's about stacking days and being consistent, but he just has a great feel for the position already as a rookie.
For him, he's a guy that his last season in college, at least, he spent a lot of time in the slot. What goes into making that transition from spending a lot of time there to moving more outside?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the slot you have more space to move. Not a whole lot of press coverage, working on, linebackers and safety sometimes. You'll get nickel where you're going against a corner. But you have more spatial awareness, which I think that's naturally why he has a good feel. To be a good slot receiver, you have to be quick and sudden, but you also have a good feel for zone, timing of the routes, timing of the concepts, and being on the same time as the quarterback when he's ready to throw you the ball. When you go on the outside, it's more physical, it's more press man. You're going to get bigger corners. So with that, you got to be good with, press releases, being physical at the line of scrimmage. When you got a quickness at the line like he has, it's going to definitely help him get into free releases. Then it's just about getting hands off and getting vertical. He has really good speed, so I think he'll be able to show up in the vertical game as well. But I think he really excels in the slot, and I know he's going to have a chance to move around. But I think it's just really important, especially when you're a young guy, gaining that confidence. I think they're doing a great job easing him in, putting him in a space where he's comfortable, that accentuates his skill set. He ran a really good, choice route against the middle linebacker, and he killed him. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just the route; it was the savviness he had, the patience, the timing that allowed him to be so open. So when he gets the chance to play outside receiver, I'll be able to help with that as well. But he has the releases to be able to win out there. Then it's just about being able to get hands off, getting your route, and make contested catches as well.
Just tremendous perspective right there from Terry McLaurin on being an outside receiver versus being a slot receiver. Assuming health, Terry McLaurin should be number one on Washington in receptions, receiving yards, and targets in the 2026 regular season, right? But might a person who is number two in one or more of those categories be tight end Chig Okonkwo? For all of the talk about our team needing a true number two receiver, could it be that the new TE1 is, in essence, the new WR2? Washington, this past March 12th, announced having signed Okonkwo as an unrestricted free agent. The contract per overthecap.com and spottrack.com was a 3-year, $27 million deal with $16.7 million fully guaranteed at signing. He's entering just his age 27 season. It was taken by the Tennessee Titans in the fourth round of the 2022 NFL Draft out of the University of Maryland. Okonkwo was with Maryland for 4 seasons, 2018 through 2021, sat out the 2020 season, but played in the 2018, 2019, and 2021 seasons. I'm excited about Chig Okonkwo with Washington. We on Thursday morning had this back and forth between columnist Barry Verluga of The Athletic and Terry McLaurin.
Terry, you've been double-digit practices with Chig by now. What do you think he can add to an offense?
Oh, man, he's very dynamic. He runs routes similar to a big receiver. He has really good feet at the top of his routes. He has the ability to win after the catch. And he's a big target. I think Jayden has done a great job over the last few years of finding our tight ends over the middle. And we got to have a guy like that who's dynamic, who if you put him over the middle, he could get run after catch. But even when you got a guy who has great feet like that, who can win similar to a receiver, we may put him out at number one. And that's a mismatch. You put a linebacker on him. You put a corner on him, it's a mismatch. So I think that's what he could bring to our offense, where he could be a matchup nightmare, whether he's in the slot or he's in the outside. And, I don't know what his background was at Tennessee, but he's going to get a lot of opportunities here to really help us, and I know he's going to do that. He has a great attitude. He's fun to be around, and I'm glad he's on our team.
Yeah, and Chig Okonkwo has put up solid numbers despite playing on Titans teams with bad quarterback play. Here are the rankings for Titans quarterbacks in ESPN's total QBR for Okonkwo's 4 regular seasons with the team. 2022, Ryan Tannehill, number 24 out of 31 qualified NFL quarterbacks. 2024, Will Levis, number 32 out of 32 qualified NFL quarterbacks. 2025, Cam Ward, number 28 out of 28 qualified NFL quarterbacks. Hopefully, Chig Okonkwo is about to benefit big time from better quarterback play in playing with Jayden Daniels. Chig Okonkwo also came up during head coach Dan Quinn's pre-practice press conference on Thursday morning. We, during that presser, had this back and forth between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Dan. With regards to Chig, I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts were at the time you were presented, hey, maybe we can bring this guy in, and now that you've had him for a few months, what have you learned or what's maybe changed in that thinking?
I loved the urgency and the competitiveness. That's what jumped out on tape, Ben. So he's not the biggest guy, but beating him to the punch and having the quickness to go. So I thought that was, one of the things that I really liked about his game. If we add those type of players, what generally happens, that manifests itself into like absolutely battling for it. And so to see him in a system in a tight end from play actions and down the field throws, we thought that would be like a good mesh for him. It was also what he was looking for too. So when we showed clips from there and showed clips of what we were going to do, we intercut them together to like paint a clear picture. I think anytime a person's a free agent coming here, you want to say like, this is how we plan on featuring you here, so they have a clear vision. Say, you know what, this is a good spot for me, like relative to the dollars and cents, to say, okay, this is why I should choose this place.
What did you present him to say, hey, this is we saw how you were maybe used here, we can do something different here?
The long play action passing, over routes, pylon routes, things that were down the field, and even some, crossing routes that are catch and run to use some of his speed. So we just wanted to, highlight, hey, this is what we think you can do.
And we heard Dan Quinn say catch and run. There again is that theme of yak. Maybe the most appealing thing about Chig Okonkwo is that he is a yak machine. Okonkwo for the 2025 regular season averaged 6.11 yards after catch per reception, ranking number 6 among all qualified tight ends in the NFL per Pro Football Reference. Okonkwo in the 2025 regular season per the NFL's Next Gen Stats had the 3rd most receiving yards among tight ends on screen passes at 107, and had the 2nd most yak over expected among tight ends on screen passes at 21. And regarding this idea of Okonkwo as the new TE1 being, in essence, the new WR2, during the joint press conference of General Manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn this past Tuesday evening, had this exchange between ABC 7 sports director Scott Abraham and Adam Peters.
Guys, good to see you again. Adam, we'll start with you. We're all talking about wide receivers here, but curious your take on Chig Okonkwo, because he almost plays like a wide receiver. And how does he kind of fit into the conversation of, do I add a receiver, do I not add a receiver, knowing his skill set of he could be a receiver in a sense?
Yeah, that's a great observation. He's an outstanding receiver. He's outstanding in the pass game. He's great after the catch, and he's also a really good blocker, a good competitive blocker. He's not the biggest tight end. He's not John Bates, but really love the way he competes as a blocker and how he executes there too. So he's got a really good skill set, but he does help us quite a bit in the pass game. So he allows you to be a little bit more multiple. You can go more 2 tight end sets. You can go 1 tight end set. It's like you almost have 4 receivers on the field. So he provides a lot of versatility in where he can line up and what he can do for us, and how when he gets the ball in his hands, then he's pretty magical.
And there again is that theme of yak. One of the greatest movie scenes of all time is the jive talking scene in the all-time great movie Airplane. A classic line from that classic scene, smack 'em, yak 'em.
Lay her down and smack 'em, yak 'em.
Yeah, there you go. Smack 'em, yak 'em. That's what Washington is looking for from receivers, tight ends, and running backs. More yak. More smack 'em, yak 'em.
Lay her down and smack 'em, yak 'em.
Exactly. Thank you. Long live the jive talking scene in Airplane. So the Washington Nationals, since the 2026 MLB All-Star break, are 7-6. 4 of the 6 losses have been one-run losses. A 5-4 loss at the Atlanta Braves on Thursday night in Game 1 of a 4-game series. This was a game in which the Nats blew a 3-0 fourth-inning lead. The Nats in MLB's 2026 regular season now are 55-55 with a run differential of +27, and now are 2.5 games behind the Arizona Diamondbacks and Philadelphia Phillies for the National League's second and third third of 3 wild card spots. The numbers 2 and 3 spots are held by the Diamondbacks and Phillies. Each team in this regular season is 57 and 52. Both the Diamondbacks and Phillies were off on Thursday. The Phillies this weekend have a 3-game series at the Baltimore Orioles. So also, the Nats in this regular season now are just 13 and 16 in one-run games. The Braves, they in this regular season now are a National League East best 64 and 45 with an NL East best run differential of plus 97. More on the Nats' 5-4 loss at the Braves on Thursday night in moments, but the Nats' scheduled starting pitcher for Game 2 of this 4-game series at the Braves is Foster Griffin. Will that be his final outing for the Nats, given that he's having a terrific season but is on a 1-year contract, and the 2026 MLB trade deadline is this Monday, August 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern. Multiple notable reports regarding the Nats and Griffin on Thursday. MLB insider Buster Olney of ESPN, he on Thursday morning in a post on X, quote, "The Nationals are exploring a possible extension with NL All-Star Foster Griffin, who is eligible for free agency in the fall. The circumstance mirrors that of Sep Lugo last year when the Royals extended Lugo instead of trading him before he hit free agency. Griffin, 31, is 12-2 with a 2.76 ERA this season," end quote. But MLB insider Mark Feinsand of MLB.com, a big Washington Commanders fan, by the way. He in an MLB.com piece that came out on Thursday afternoon was referenced by the author of the piece, Nats insider Jessica Camerato of Nationals.com, as having been told by a source that a contract extension between Griffin and the Nats is, quote, very unlikely, end quote. And all of this is off MLB insider Joel Sherman of the New York Post in a piece that came out this past Saturday morning, writing that, quote, extension talks fizzled quickly, end quote, between Griffin and the Nats. Here's my take. I would be surprised if the Nats do not trade Foster Griffin. They pretty clearly are trying to sign him to a contract extension. So you ask yourself, well, why the urgency to do that right now? Well, there's a pretty good chance that you're not aggressively pursuing a contract extension with Griffin right now, unless you're looking at this situation the way that I've talked about how a team should look at a situation like this. You extend the guy or you trade the guy. Generally speaking, it is one extreme or the other. Now, there can be nuance. There is an argument for not trading Griffin, seeing if he can help you make the playoffs, and then trying to re-sign him in the offseason. And if you don't re-sign him, you can at least get a compensatory draft pick for him via issuing a qualifying offer. But generally speaking, extend him or trade him, one extreme or the other. The Nats seem to be pursuing one extreme, a contract extension, but that may well not work out. But that the Nats are pursuing that extreme suggests that if the extreme does not work out, we will get the other extreme, a trade. And so it sure seems like a trade is coming. We shall see. As for the Nats' 5-4 loss at the Braves on Thursday night, odd game for the Nats offense, was very mixed in scoring 4 runs. The Nats totaled 7 hits, 6 of which were extra base hits, as the Nats had 3 home runs, a triple, 2 doubles, and a single, and the Nats worked 4 walks, and the Nats struck out just 6 times, but the Nats went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position, and this has been an issue for the Nats lately, lack of production in high leverage spots, but the Nats homered 3 times off Braves starting pitcher Grant Holmes, who allowed 3 runs in 4 2/3 innings. This was another instance of the Nats doing well against a good opposing starting pitcher. Holmes came into the game with an ERA of 3.79 over 20 games, including 19 starts in this regular season. I tell you, the Nats, with their analytics-based process under Nats president of baseball operations, Paul Tabone, are so well prepared for opposing starting pitchers. We've seen this time and again in this regular season. Luis Garcia Jr. fell a single shy of hitting for the cycle. He is the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter, went 3 for 5 with a solo homer, an RBI triple, and a double. Garcia in the Nats' 1-run third had a 1-out solo homer on a moonshot to right field for a 2-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 455 feet per Statcast. Garcia in the Nats' 1-run 7th had a 1-out RBI triple to the right center field gap to cut the Nats deficit to 5-4. Luis Garcia Jr. continues to have this breakout season. He, for the regular season, now has 23 home runs and an OPS of 882. Will he be traded before the deadline? Garcia is in his age 26 season and is under team control through the 2027 season. Dalen Lyle, he is the Nats starting left fielder and number 5 batter, went 2 for 4 with 2 solo homers. Lyle in the Nats 1-run second had a leadoff homer to right field for a 1-0 Nats lead. Lyle in the Nats 1-run fourth had a leadoff homer to right center field for a 3-0 Nats lead. That homer went a projected 408 feet per Statcast. Lyle needed a game like this. He had been slumping. His OPS for this regular season now is at 717. James Wood, he is the Nats starting right fielder and number 1 batter, went 0 for 2, but with 3 walks and a stolen base. It did commit a throwing error, but his OPS for this regular season now is at 950, including a 400 on-base percentage. James Wood for this regular season is number 1 in MLB in walks, 89. The Nats starting pitcher in this 5-4 loss at the Braves on Thursday night was Jake Irvin, as he is back. The Nats on Thursday afternoon announced having returned Irvin from his minor league rehab assignment and having reinstated him from the 60-day injured list, which he had been on since July 10th. He was on the 15-day injured list from May 24th to July 10th. All of this due to a right shoulder strain. The initial word was that he would begin throwing in just 2 days. He instead ended up missing more than 2 months, but he is back. Irvin on Thursday night officially allowed 5 runs in 5 innings, though 2 of the runs came with him out of the game. He gave up just 3 hits, but 2 of them were home runs. Andy gave up a single, issued 2 walks into wild pitch, recorded just 1 strikeout through 61 pitches, just 36 strikes versus 25 balls. He gave up a lot of hard contact. Irvin in the bottom of the 4th allowed a run as he gave up a 1-out opposite field solo homer by Ronald Acuna Jr. to right center field to cut the Nats lead to 3-1. The homer went a projected 421 feet per Statcast, and Irvin in the bottom of the 5th allowed 2 runs. He gave up a 2-out single by Dominic Smith, the ex-Nat, to right field, and Smith advanced to second base on a throwing error by right fielder James Wood, who had failed in an attempt at a diving forward catch, and Irvin then gave up a 2-out, 2-run homer by Mike Yastrzemski to right field to tie the game at 3. That homer went a projected 413 feet per Statcast. Jake Irvin at the major league level in this regular season, 12 games, all starts, ERA of 5.56, whip of 1.32, 9 home runs allowed in just 56 2/3 innings. For comparison's sake, Nats starting pitcher Cade Cavalli has allowed 10 home runs in 116 2/3 innings. The Nats relief pitching in this 5-4 loss at the Braves on Thursday night was good in terms of the final line, but did give up a big hit. 2 Nats relievers officially combined for 3 scoreless innings. Carson Palmquist officially tossed 2 scoreless innings, but he in the bottom of the 6th gave up a 2-out opposite field 2-run single by Ozzie Albies to right center field on an 0-2 pitch for a 5-3 Braves lead. Riley Cornelio tossed a perfect bottom of the 8th with 2 strikeouts. He threw just 9 pitches. Also, regarding Nats relievers, the Nats on Thursday afternoon announced that relief pitcher Mitchell Parker on Wednesday underwent an internal brace procedure to repair the grade 3 UCL sprain in his left elbow. Him undergoing UCL surgery was expected. The Nats on June 29th announced having put Parker on the 15-day injured list due to left elbow inflammation. Nats manager Blake Butera on June 30th during a pregame session with reporters said that Parker had a grade 3 UCL sprain in his left elbow and likely needed UCL surgery, and the Nats on July 1st announced having transferred Parker to the 60-day injured list. He is done for the season and likely is out for most, if not all, of next season. The Nats this weekend have the final 3 games of this 4-game series at the Braves, as yes, we have the 2026 MLB trade deadline this Monday, August 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern. The Nats have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 2, Friday night at 7:15, Foster Griffin. Game 3, Saturday night at 7:15, Miles Michaelis. Game 4, Sunday afternoon at 1:35, Cade Cavalli. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Monday's show, episode 1379. We'll have a lot for you on the Washington Commanders. Also on Monday's show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats this weekend have the final 3 games of a 4-game series at the Atlanta Braves. The O's this weekend have a 3-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
Lay it down or smack 'em, yak 'em.